Jimmy, AdventureNsuch. I know it's been a while. Like, far too long. Listen, I know, but here's the thing, at least I'm consistently inconsistent. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. I got an opportunity to write an article about hammock camping for one of my friends. She runs a magazine, but it's online, and it's called, she's from Northology Adventures, excuse me. It's free. I'm gonna link it below, you should subscribe, check it out. But I wrote that article about winter hammock camping, and I realized I didn't show you guys any of my winter hammock camping stuff. There's the words I'm trying to use today. I think I need more coffee. Obviously, there's leaves on the ground. It's fall in northern Indiana. So, it's not winter, but I'm gonna show you everything. And once I get it set up, I'll show you how I do everything. And hopefully you guys get a perspective, maybe get some tips and tricks. You can get out this winter, you can try it for yourself. Follow along, check it out. Alright, so normally I bring a paracord and a clip to hang my bag up. I didn't do that today, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you things as I need them as I pull them out here. So, bag, I'm going to clear this just a little bit. Much for destroying things, but really thorns in the bottom of a hammock don't work. So, alright. So you know what, let me bring you guys over here. Yeah, this probably work a little better. What do I got? Yeah. Here's my bag. Plenty of sunlight. Here we go. So. This out of my way for a minute. You don't need a fancy bag. Carry everything. This is just kind of a catch-all. Definitely won't need that today. I don't have time for all that. But pack your bag right. You don't have to dig everything out first. So it's always important to pack the proper order. You'll need that. I think last time I used this, I went camping up in Michigan. That's not it. I think I can't pack backwards. The other thing I use is what they call, plane today. I'm unfortunately too close to town, so Playboy. You guys are crooked. Let me do these here. That looks better. Hold on. Thanks, buddy. Got a tree right in the sun. Right. Single engine. So, I use hammock straps. You can do it your own way. These make it so much easier. These things make setup stupid simple. They're rated for like 700 pounds. They have tons of other uses in case of emergency. I don't really see myself getting an emergency. I'm literally in my buddy's backyard, but hey. So, all you have to do with these, got loops in them. Wow, that tree is super inconvenient. Do a little, maybe about that. How about that? That'll look a little better. Got a main loop, and they have a loop every couple 3 inches. So, what you do, find the end. You got 2 ends. Makes a choker. That's it. That's all I gotta do. That's how you originally set them up. So, what I'll do
is I like to set them as high as I can. Reach. That. Got a second one hanging from the other tree.
Pull your hammock between them. I'll show you.
Alright, so you got your boat straps. I'm using double nest.
This thing comes in its own bag. This bag is actually part of the hammock. Makes it super nice when you're putting it away. Everything comes in its own little bag, and then you lose the little bags, and then next thing you know, you don't have your bags, and it's a pain. So, it's a gathered end hammock. Mine is. You can see, they come with their own clips. They're not rated for climbing, but they will hold you. This thing's rated for something like 400 pounds.
So, kind of take a guess on the span. Pick a loop. Put it in. The other end's buried in there. That's about right.
At this point, you're really ready to hang. But here's the thing. One thing I look at is the angle. That strap goes up the tree. Go like that. It's about a 30-degree angle. So I'll put my hand up like this. Pinky to the sky. See that? It's a really good baseline for you to get started. But at this point, and the other thing you'll notice, well, you guys might not be able to see it, right across the top I've got what's called a ridge line. That actually holds my weight and lets that hammock have a nice little droop to it. Ridge lines people get super crazy about. It's a whole long story, but it does come in handy. So I'll show you. At this point, you have a hammock. You can lollygag now. But if you were to try to sleep in this, you would absolutely freeze. Temperature's way too cold. So we lose heat by conduction and convection. Conduction is when we actually touch something cold. Convection is when the wind blows above or below us. Obviously, there's nothing protecting me under here. Got to change that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my underquilt. What that is. And if you're wondering, when you hang your hammock, always think about this. I have never fallen out of my hammock. Yet. Still early in life. But how far are you willing to fall? That's good enough for me right there. Now I can move my straps up a little bit, which I might actually just for this, because I'm going to imagine there's 12 or 14 or 18 inches of snow, so you don't want to be touching that. So I'm going to move it up a little bit, then I'm going to grab my underquilt, and I'll show you guys what I do. There we go. So that gets me a little further off the ground. Gets me out of the way. It's warm enough today. I don't need this. But for all intents and purposes, we're going to pretend it's cold out today. This is probably the last nice day I get this year. So, there you have your hammock. This is an underquilt. Now, even on warm nights, wind blowing underneath you will cool you off and make you cold. So I use an underquilt, even in temperatures as high as 60 degrees. I just use less above me, because that's what really keeps me warm, is that below and keeping that wind off the backside. So this comes in a nice compression sack. There's the word I'm trying to use today. Seem to be having trouble with words today. So open up the compression sack, pull the straps off. Now this is not attached to the underquilt. This thing packs right up in this bag nicely. Well, when I say nicely, it's super tight. There we go. Looks a lot like a hammock, or like a sleeping bag, doesn't it? Kind of same material. What you'll notice is just drawstrings. Of course, everything's black on a tan background. So these drawstrings, these two here in the center, where we actually hold this up. There's one over here, one over here. Actually tighten it up. And in the center, those drawstrings on either side are connected right here in this loop. So what you'll do, connect all four from one end to one side. Then you grab the two over here. Connect them over there. Now my underquilt is a little on the short side. One thing I can do is come over here, take one of the side ones off, take one of the other side ones off, take them all off. Grab just your ends here. Get them flipped up. Yeah, that doesn't hang as tight now. Take this end. Run these through. These are designed to fit more than one style hammock. A lot of times you can even just put one of them up there, one of the drawstring, one of the attachment points. And that'll let that hang down a little lower. So that's what I'm going to do on this today. This does take some practice setting up. What you'll notice, big airspace right here in between the two. You don't want to lay so tight up to your underquilt. So what'll happen is you actually compress the filling that's in there, and when you compress that filling, you start to lose warmth in there. So when you lay down, these drawstrings on the side are what'll adjust. I'll show you.
So, got a drawstring right here, and on the other side, in your hammock, turn yourself about, take your drawstrings, squeeze, cinch, either side. Now what that's done is put a barrier between me and the wind. Just now, it's already 8 or 10 degrees warmer just with that. Like I can actually feel the back side of me warmer than the top side of me just by putting this insulating layer in. If you want it a little tighter, you can always cinch them up a little more. So now, you have an insulating layer between you and the wind. That way. But that is not enough. Definitely not enough to stay warm in the winter. A day like today, I could sleep in that in a blanket and probably be just fine. The temperatures, I think they're in the low 40s. That's me. I'm a hot sleeper. I keep my house at 65, so I like to sleep in the cold. I think that's why I enjoy hammock camping so much. What I'll do now is I'll take my sleeping bag. You can use the sleeping bag. You can use, they make what's called top quilts. You can treat your sleeping bag as a top quilt. I don't suggest you get in your hammock with dirty shoes and boots on, because then you're sleeping with dirt all night and you tear it up. For all intents and purposes, pretend I took my boots off. It's kind of a rule. It's a thing, the hammockers. I think I found this one on good old Amazon. And it says 2 to 3 season sleeping bag. Obviously we're camping in the winter. The colder the temp is, the more sleeping bag I bring. Or a top quilt. I really am probably going to invest in one. They are nice to have. But to get started, if you have a good sleeping bag, use your sleeping bag. It's okay. So you pull your sleeping bag out. This one is not a mummy style. I'm not a big fan of mummy bags. It's my personal opinion on them. They have their place. But when I'm done, I will be so warm that I won't need it. That, and I like to have a little bit of freedom when I sleep. And for people that say, I'm a face sleeper, so am I. And I can sleep in a hammock pretty well. So this is actually only rated to about 40 degrees, but I will use this in temperatures all the way down in the 20s, just because I layer up. When you layer up to go outside to get cold, this is the same idea. You're layering up in layering ways. So when you get in your sleeping bag to get in the hammock, one of the tricks that I found, you know what? I'm gonna have to take my boots off for this one. Woo! Oh, almost there. Go there. Alright, I gotta take my boots off. It is what it is. Obviously, if it's wet, find something to put down below you. Top quilts are nice because you don't have to do this part, but you can kind of treat it the same. Take the boots off. Kind of stand in them. These clod hoppers off here. So, make sure when you got your sleeping bag, or side you want open. Just like that. Here's a way you can do this without totally soaking yourself in your feet. Dry feet important. I'll take my sleeping bag. Now we'll cinch that all the way up. Tuck it up underneath yourself there. Like I said, what makes the top quilt nice is what you'll do. Turn into your hammock. Tuck your feet down. And since it's all bunched up underneath your butt, use this. There you go. And now you're in your sleeping bag. So at this point, I now have 2 layers of insulation. I have one above me, and I have one below me. And really at this point, if I knew it was going to be dry, I would probably stop here. Because this is far more than enough to sleep for me. I said well into the 40-degree range. In fact, actually, I feel like I should nap right now. Best part about this, alright. If I don't get out of here, I'm not getting out of here. So you can either unzip, slide yourself out of your sleeping bag, whatever works for you. Me, I'll kind of untuck. Leave sleep bag down there. Find my boots. Look at those pointy sticks. Now I see this ridge line above me is loose right now. I've actually got a way. Got several loops tied in my string there. Tighten that up now. What that'll do is that'll help keep my hammock looser so you can turn sideways and lay out in it. At that point, like I said, I've got 2 layers of insulation. 40 degrees or so, perfectly acceptable. But if we're talking winter and it's 10 degrees, 12 degrees, I've used this exact setup. Oh, excuse me. I had a 0-degree bag. I had that underquilt. And then no tarp over me. But the other thing you can use is an air pad. Air pad adds anywhere between 1 to 2 R value. They've got all kinds. You've got your self-inflating. You've got your blow-up kind. The kind I've got's the blow-up kind. Got several. And what you'll do is unpack this bad boy. Wish I brought my taller tripod today. I wouldn't have to kneel down and talk to you guys. Obviously, once you've practiced this some, it doesn't take long to set up. I can be fully set up in about 5 minutes, but we're talking today, so this does have a one-way oil on it. You should use it. So this is one of the inflatable air pads. I honestly couldn't tell you where I got this one, but this one has a pillow built in. I'm gonna guess I got it off Amazon, but so now I have a 3rd layer of insulation that will keep my body heat in my little cocoon of fantabulous. What you can do find your hammock. You're gonna lay this in your hammock about the same way you'd lay. Kind of put it in an angle. You can lay on that. Then you add your sleeping bag. Some people prefer to put those inside. I prefer to have them on the outside. At this point, you're good well into the 10 to 12 degree range as long as your bag's right. Now, I will say I do keep my clothes on at night. I choose to bring a dry pair of clothes. When you sweat, even just your average sitting around, you're in a warm vehicle, you get out, you perspire a little bit. Well, that convection from your perspiration will definitely cool you down at night. And I'll tell you right now, the thing that drives me the craziest is having cold feet. So I make sure I bring big, fluffy, warm socks. That's what's going to keep your feet warm. The other thing I learned is I figured this out on my last trip. My feet were cold even in warm socks. So I thought about something. So I'll show you. Lay our sleep bag in here. That's all ready to go. I'm not going to wear my coat to bed tonight. It's just too much. But if I want to keep my feet warm, I will actually take my coat I will hang my coat right there. That has now given me a fourth way to insulate on my person, especially my feet. Like I said, I like warm feet. I didn't have to bring anything extra. That was with me at all times. You will be amazed at how something that simple will keep you so much warmer. Now, if I know that it's not going to be windy, I know it's not going to rain, it's not even going to be dewy in the morning, I will sleep without a tarp. But if there's breeze, if there's anything, if there's a chance you're going to be damp, you absolutely positively want to have a cover. If you don't have a cover over yourself, you will regret it. You'll wake up cold, you'll wake up grumpy, you'll not have a good night's sleep. And the whole point of going camping is to get away from the noise. So, what I'll do, I use an A-frame tarp. I'm going to pick up some more this winter and test them out. They make an A-frame that actually has doors that close on the backside, so it looks like the top of a house. But I'll show you how I set up my tarp and why I do what I do. Now it's a little breezy. Obviously you can hear some noise in the background today because I guess somebody's chipping some wood, or I don't know what the neighbors are doing here. But the breeze is coming from that direction. I intentionally chose these trees for a reason. Now, there is a dead branch up there that if I was actually sleeping here, I would break off, I'd shake them loose. This one seems to be pretty good. There's nothing gonna fall and land in my head if we had a bad storm. But what I'll do is I'll set my tarp up now, and I'll show you how to keep the wind, the dew, the damp off of you. Even if it's damp outside, you will stay drier under a tarp. Give me just 1 second, be right back. Okay. I'm gonna bring you guys over here, see if I can show you what I got going on here. Yeah, that should work. So here is my tarp that I use. You get all the cordage comes with it. It's a huge. Another Amazon special. I hate that Amazon gets so much of my money. Got so much good stuff though. This is a $20 special. You don't have to invest a ton of money in this. It came with the stakes. It came with all the cordage. This doesn't have to be an expensive adventure, but what you need to do is make sure you spend money on quality equipment. So I'll have an inexpensive tarp. I'll even have an inexpensive hammock, because they do make some really nice hammocks that are far more money than an Eno. But don't cheap out on your sleeping bag. Underquilt's fine to cheap out a little bit on as far as winter goes, as long as you spend some money in the right places. But if you have the opportunity, make sure you get a really good underquilt too. Those two things will save you. Now this has a Mylar style interior. Doesn't bother me a whole lot. So I actually laid my tarp out over. So I got that ridge line. It's another good reason for it. I don't have to worry about stakes yet, but I need to get the ends hooked up. Some of this cordage. And I've got the little toggles at the end, if you can see those. I actually cheat a little bit. All I do is run them through, make a regular old overhand knot, and cinch it up on that tab. When I cinch it up on that tab, it's not going anywhere, but it allows me to undo this just as fast as I put it up. I'm doing this in real time. Obviously, this can be done way faster. Whoop. That wind shifted on me a little bit here today, but there's first side. That's a little bit of a mess today. There's the second one. And I'll do the same thing. What I'm going to do is run this in, make a quick overhand knot. And if you're smart, you won't tie your cordage underneath your hammock strap. Sometimes I'm not smart. Alright, that took a little longer than it should have. You take, now you'll see, I've given myself a pretty decent amount of space over the hammock. So, this is a piece of cordage I'm using that I may have lost the other stuff, because you do that from time to time. So paracord works. Am steel is another one. I think it's called Am steel. Another one people like to use. What I do like about the cord that came with this, it does have a reflective material in it, like a construction worker's vest. And these bright orange stakes right here are a lifesaver. So you want to pull out about the same angle that the hammock, that the tarp is at. So there's the first one. Boy, I really did make a mess of these, didn't I? Woo-wee. When you're putting your cordage away, make sure that you try to actually take care of it. Because otherwise, you end up with a mess like this. Or, remember how you wound it up? So when you unwind it, it doesn't do this. I can hang that right there momentarily. One less mess I have going on here. Take another one of these eyelets. Same thing again. Very simple overhand knot. I cinch it up tight right onto that plastic toggle that holds her open. These stakes included with this one. It's fantastic. Makes it super, super, super simple. Put them in at a 45 away from the direction that you're pulling. What that's going to do is that's going to help add tension. Also, it's going to allow your stake to hold better if it does get windy at night. Now, I've been lucky enough. I've yet to wake up with my tarp flapping. I've been doing this for a while. But if it ever got really nasty out, these are just stakes. And a lot of stuff I camp on, it ends up being sandy. So it does make it a little harder. If you live somewhere like Kentucky, Tennessee, where it's really rocky, you're definitely going to want to look into bringing with a hammer for doing something like this. But for us, we're lucky enough, 9 times out of 10, you can use your foot to pull them, push them in, or pull them out. I'll show you the finished product here in a second. When you're done, it's going to look something like that. Walk over here so you can get a little bit wider view of it. Set you down right here. There you go. What you'll notice in here is it is open, air can flow through. But at this point, the majority of the wind's going to hit the tarp and go up and over. There will be a little bit underneath. But if you set yourself up similar to this, you will absolutely be able to stay warm all night. Now, if you're a cold sleeper and you always have to have a hot house, you always keep your house 72, 74. If you're from some of the southern states where it's always a whole lot warmer, you may not sleep as well in the cold. You may need to add another layer. You need to make sure that you bring enough gear to keep you warm. Because the one thing I don't want you to find out is it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you're a mile into the woods somewhere, and now all of a sudden it's cold and you're reaching a point where you can't get warm. Some of the other things I like to do before I go to bed, especially when I'm cold weather camping, is eat. I try to eat my meals right before I go to bed, or really close to that. And if, say, we get done and we have a 5 o'clock lunch, obviously it gets dark early, you don't want to cook in the dark. Eat a protein bar, eat something that's dense, that's going to take a little while to digest. That does is keep the fire inside burning. Your body produces heat while you're digesting food. So a hot cocoa, a protein bar right before you go to bed, get you nice and warm, you snuggle in. and you'll stay warm for an extra 2 to 3 hours that way. One thing I try to suggest to people, if you got to go to the bathroom, try to do it before you go to bed. Because obviously getting in and out of this in the winter, even in the summer, is a little challenging. In the winter, it gets a little more challenging. It's a little extra. But what happens is, if you got to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, you just get up and go. You just do it. And I want to thank you for guys watching. If you have any questions, let me know. You can leave them in the comments. You can hit me up on Facebook. And it's the same name, AdventureNsuch. Like I said, I really appreciate it. Check out the article. It's coming out next month. Go ahead and check out that article. It's coming out in the December edition. Like I said, it'll all be linked below. Cindy's based out of Illinois. She does a lot of adventures in Wisconsin. She does guided tours. She does guided adventure tours. They do all kinds of neat stuff. Definitely check out her page. I appreciate you everyone watching. Again, I hope you learned something. I know I learn a little something every time I set this thing up. I learn a little more. Definitely gonna get some more gear to try out this winter. But I want to thank you. Have an awesome day. Find adventure in every single thing you do.